The trade turmoil of 2025, U.S., Canada, and Mexico at odds of March 6, 2025. The trade landscape between the United States, Canada, and Mexico is undergoing. The imposition of tariffs and subsequent diplomatic negotiations have sparked economic and political tensions across the region. On March 4, 2025, U.S. President Donald Trump implemented a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico, citing concerns over inadequate measures to curb fentanyl trafficking into the United States. Additionally, a 10% tariff was imposed on Canadian energy exports, including oil and natural gas. Canada retaliates with harsh countermeasures. In response, Canada announced an immediate 25% tariff on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, with plans to extend these measures to an additional $125 billion in the coming weeks. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the tariffs as unjustified and vowed that retaliatory measures would remain in place until the U.S. lifted its restrictions. Canada has also taken the first step in a World Trade Organization (WTO) dispute resolution process, formally requesting consultations with the U.S. Ontario Premier Doug Ford took an even bolder stance, announcing a 25% tariff on electricity exports to the U.S. starting March 10, 2025. This move targets approximately 1.5 million American homes and businesses in states like Michigan, New York, and Minnesota, which rely heavily on Ontario's electricity supply. Ford warned that Ontario was ready to escalate further, stating, "I won't hesitate to increase the surcharge or, if necessary, shut the electricity off completely." His aggressive rhetoric signals a significant escalation in trade tensions. Mexico granted temporary relief unlike Canada. Mexico saw a temporary reprieve. After negotiations between President Trump and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, the U.S. agreed to a one-month pause on the 25% tariffs for most imports from Mexico, effective until April 2, 2025. This decision reflects acknowledgement of Mexico's increased efforts in combating illegal immigration and drug trafficking. President Sheinbaum expressed gratitude for the cooperation, but underscored the importance of ongoing security and economic discussions. Potential economic fallout. The economic ramifications of Trump's tariffs are substantial. Analysts warn of rising costs, job losses, and industrial slowdowns across Canada and the U.S. Ontario, as Canada's industrial heartland, is particularly exposed, prompting the Progressive Conservative government to allocate over $40 billion in potential economic relief. This includes a $5 billion Protect Ontario account, tax deferrals, payroll subsidies, and municipal support. Premier Ford, however, emphasized the unpredictability of Trump's policies, stating, "We don't know what's coming tomorrow. I'm not even sure President Trump knows what's coming tomorrow." Meanwhile, Canada is considering additional retaliatory actions, including a surcharge on U.S. electricity imports, restricting crude oil and natural gas exports to the U.S., canceling a $100 million contract with Elon Musk's Starlink, banning U.S. alcohol sales in Ontario liquor control stores. Canadian lawmakers take a stand. Canadian MP Charlie Angus has urged Canadians to boycott U.S. products in response to Trump's trade policies. Furthermore, Angus is pushing for a ban on President Trump's attendance at the upcoming G7 summit in June, a move that has sparked debate among former diplomats concerned about G7 cohesion. The bigger picture: U.S. reliance on Canadian imports. Despite its status as a global economic powerhouse, the U.S. heavily depends on Canadian imports across key sectors. Crude oil. Canada supplied 67% of total U.S. crude imports in 2024, 4 million barrels per day. Major pipelines include Keystone XL and Enbridge Mainline, serving key refineries in Illinois, Texas, and Michigan. Natural gas. The U.S. imported 8.5 billion cubic feet per day, with 7.4 billion coming from Canada, a crucial supply for the Midwest and Northeast. Electricity. 95% of the 38.92 terawatt-hours of U.S. electricity imports in 2024 came from Canada, primarily benefiting New York, New England, Michigan, and Minnesota. Uranium. Canada supplied 20% of U.S. uranium imports for nuclear power plants in Illinois, South Carolina, and Pennsylvania. The strategic motives behind Trump's tariffs have been justified under the guise of curbing drug trafficking and illegal immigration, yet statistics suggest Canada is responsible for only 0.2% of fentanyl entering the U.S., with the majority coming from China and Mexico. This raises questions about the true motives behind these trade restrictions. Analysts suggest three key possibilities. Economic leverage. The U.S. may be pressuring Canada into aligning more closely with American economic and geopolitical interests. Resource control. Canada's vast reserves of minerals, oil, and gas are critical to the U.S., and tariffs could be a way to gain leverage over these resources. Political strategy. By adopting a tough trade stance, Trump could be rallying nationalist support ahead of upcoming elections. What's next? With tensions escalating and potential economic consequences looming, both sides are preparing for a prolonged trade battle. As Canada strengthens ties with China, Japan, and South Korea to reduce reliance on U.S. markets, and Ontario threatens further retaliatory action, the North American trade landscape stands on uncertain ground. What do you think? Are these tariffs justified, or are they a political maneuver? Share your thoughts in the comments.